Hello students, welcome again. Students, as the students of English literature, we must be familiar with some important facts about English literature. So let's discuss them. You see, the whole history of English literature can be divided into three major phases. Okay, the old English literature, that means from 5th to 11th century, this period is known as Anglo-Saxon period. Then the second stage is the medieval English literature from 12th to 15th century. Okay, it is known as Anglo-Norman period. And the third important stage is the modern period. Now this modern period is again divided into two phases: early modern from 16th to 18th century and late modern from 19th till present times. Okay, now if someone asks you which was the first actual work of English literature in the olden times, in the first period, then the answer is Beowulf, okay, which was somewhere published in at the end of the 10th century and in the beginning of the 11th century. It is a heroic epic full of romance and adventure. The author is unknown. We don't know who the author was. Okay, that was the first period. During the medieval period, we have the father of English literature, the father of English poetry, Geoffrey Chaucer, who published the Canterbury Tales. These stories are written in poetic form, narrative poetry, which were published in 1476. This is considered as the first actual work of art, in English literature. After that, if someone asks you which was the first drama, which was the first comedy and first tragedy, then Ralph Roister Doister, published in 1550, written by Nicholas Udall. Okay, this is considered as the first comedy of English literature. Gorboduc, published in 1561, okay, written by two authors combinedly, Thomas Sackville and Thomas Norton, is considered as the first English tragedy during the 16th century. So, the beginning of poetry you find with Geoffrey Chaucer, okay, during the 14th century, and the beginning of drama you find during the period of Renaissance, Elizabethan age, Ralph Roister Doister and Gorboduc. What about essays? Who is the father of English essays? Francis Bacon, remember this name. He has written about 58 essays which were published in the beginning of the 17th century, 1625. So Francis Bacon is considered as the pioneer of essays in English literature. Moreover, what about the epic poetry? The first epic actually was Paradise Lost. This is actually one and only epic written in English literature, written by John Milton, okay, which was published in 1567 and republished in 1574. But before that, Edmund Spenser, who lived during the Elizabethan age, he also wrote The Faerie Queene, which is also claimed as the first epic of English literature. But it's a debatable issue which was the first epic. Okay, but most of the critics believe it is Paradise Lost, okay, not The Faerie Queene. What about novel? Remember these two titles. Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe, some critics believe, is the first novel of English literature published in 1719, and some other group of critics believe it is Samuel Richardson's Pamela, published in 1740 or 41, as the first novel of English literature. What about the short stories? Remember these names: Sir Walter Scott. Sir Walter Scott was an important historical novelist who lived in the beginning of the 19th century. He was a novelist, but he wrote the first short story in English literature, and that is The Two Drovers and Other Stories. Okay, so these are some important facts about English literature which you must be familiar with. I hope this is helpful to you. Please do share this among all your classmates and friends. Thank you for watching. Thank you.